There she is.
What's up?
How's it going?
Good, good.
Ooh, not gonna lie, I did have to look up the definition of paradigm.
Cool. I brought notes.
Someone was asking
We're
about it
good.
yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to touch up on that. I know it, but it's not like I
hmm
couldn't give you like the definition.
I had to look it up too.
That's funny.
I had to look it up too.
Hi,
I'm right there
Alexa.
with you.
What's up?
What's up, everybody?
Kaylee in the house. Yeah, what a treat.
What's up, y'all?
I miss you guys, my Florida fam.
You're gonna be gone for too long.
I'll be back before you know it.
It was funny because I was actually going to text you guys. I'm like, hey, a lot of talk about paradigms, and I've heard the term so much, right? And like I understand it in those contexts at that time, right? Because it's a variety of stuff, right? So
Right.
and it varies for whoever's who's mentioning that and placing a context behind it. I was even going to text y'all and say, hey man, I might need some help with this tonight. Just because like this call it's super authentic, right? So we're not out there. There's not a teleprompter anywhere in sight here. There's no
Jackie
like,
might have one.
When I make my reels.
I do use them though. But it depends. But so
For this, yeah, we're just going with what we know
yeah,
and our experience. Yeah.
which is really
Yeah,
cool.
and we didn't meet ahead of time like we usually do. We are just winging it.
I love it though. Like I say, I love it, and it's like the more and more this call grows, like it feels good. It's right. You know what I mean? Nothing's precasted. Nothing's talked about that we don't know what we're talking about. Like there is stuff that we're going to talk about that we don't necessarily understand 100%, right?
Yeah.
And I was glad to hear y'all both come on the call and say that. It was comforting. So.
I know, hearing Monica say that, I was like, okay.
So the reason I brought this topic up was because I recently listened to Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor. I'm sure you can get it as a paper book, but it's so much better as an Audible or an audiobook because you can listen on Spotify as well. Because the way it's structured is it's a conversation between him and some guy. And so I went to his website for the definition so that I would get it from Bob Proctor, because I understand it's if I had to give you a definition before looking it up, I would have said it's like the lens that you see things through.
Sounds pretty good.
Thanks. His definition is it's a program that has been installed in your subconscious mind and it has control over all of your habitual behavior. So, we have paradigms about all kinds of things. The one that most people want to change usually is the big things, like the way you view relationships, the way you view money, and what your paradigm is around those things is how you move through those like parts of life, right? Example, if you have a paradigm or a lens that you think all relationships are supposed to be hard, probably going to create a hard relationship. You're probably going to attract a partner that you're constantly butting heads with, versus if you have a paradigm that relationships are supposed to be fun and easy and mutually beneficial, and you're probably going to get that same result. And one of the things that I thought was interesting reading in the book or listening to in the book, and then also looking on his website, is learning that it's not your fault, your paradigm. A lot of these views that we have are shaped from childhood. Most of them are just the way that we were brought up, the things that we heard our parents say. If you heard your parents saying that all rich people are greedy, evil people, you're probably not going to have a great view on being wealthy. And then that is going to inhibit how much money you can make, because your entire program, the system that's running your mind, is telling you, I don't want to be a greedy, evil person. And here come all the ways for you to lose money, for you to spend money, for you to not earn as much as you want to. The way to change your paradigm can happen only two ways, according to Mr. Proctor.
Wait. Before we get into the way to change them, I just want to touch on what you just said, because it was a lot and that was good.
Yeah.
Really
because
good.
it's not only just the parents, it's also like your teachers, school environment that you were in.
Environmental.
If
Mm-hmm.
you were in a church, like the religion. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys are familiar or have ever heard of the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good book, guys.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't read that one, but it talks about that, how like you start to realize that your thoughts, and I like that word that you're using, program. We've been programmed to have this mentality on certain things just
Mm-hmm.
based off of the environment that we were brought in. And so getting to a point where you recognize that and realizing that, okay, I don't have to think that way. I was taught to think that way. And with whatever I want to either achieve or look into, you have the power to see what that actually is like. So I think it's interesting. I just wanted to emphasize that before we moved into
Agreed.
how to change it.
I
But
love that.
yeah.
And I don't want to share for you, but I feel like I remember you mentioning you came from a religious family. And
Mhm.
so having to make your own decisions about things and learning that you can change your own paradigm about the way you view stuff. Like you've done it. You've changed
Yeah.
your own, the box that you put something in. And so I think that's for a lot of people where they get exposed to a different environment and they start seeing things from a different lens and they're like, oh,
It's insane. So just really quick, I'll touch on that. My mom, she had me at a young age. She got married to my stepdad when I was fairly young, maybe like 4. And my mom's side of the family is not religious, really. Her mom was Catholic, but never really forced it on the kids. My aunts and uncles never went to church like that. But my stepdad was the one that was religious. And so
mm,
he was the one that brought church into our family. Me and him were like all the way in. My mom is a very skeptical person. I love my mom, but she was definitely like, this feels cool, this is good, but I'm not going all the way in like that. And
yeah.
for me and my stepdad, it was totally different. And so from the age of 12 until 17, I was very heavily involved in the church. But I remember like clear as day coming to the realization that I was living in a bubble. I had my whole life planned out, guys, in my head. I was like, okay, like I was dating the pastor's son at the time. I'm like, okay, I was set to go to Liberty University, which is a Christian college. And we're like, okay, I'm getting married by like 22, having kids by 23, like all like I saw my whole life. And it wasn't until I started my first job. My first job was at IHOP. And just like realizing that people go through shit and what life looks like. And there's no way to have it all figured out. I literally, it was like a screeching halt of what am I doing? I felt like I was signing my life away, not actually getting to experience all the things that life had to offer. So yeah, it's definitely a crazy situation to be in, to be like, wait a minute, I don't have to think this way, or I don't have to live
Mm-hmm.
this way. Like I can figure it out on my own. And
Right.
yeah, it's crazy.
I think it's funny, not that this is what your situation was, but a lot of those like hyper conservative, hyper protective parents, they know that's going to happen. That's why they don't want their kids hanging out with the kid. They don't want them working at IHOP. They don't want them going to the concert. They don't want them to learn like there's something outside of here. No, this is it. You stay right here because they know once we have free will. And so once you experience other things, and they don't all have to be bad things, once you experience other options, you're like, I don't have to follow this track that you've laid out for me. Interesting. I'm not going
Yeah.
to. I won't.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Unless you have something to say, Corey, but I definitely want to hear Monica has to say about how to change that and what that looks like.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely well put, Monica. Just explaining it from the way you did. You know, there's a lot to making paradigm shifts, and I think that's what you were about to go into. So I would definitely love to deep dive into that for sure.
Yeah,
Because
give us the Bob Proctor sauce.
Yeah, the Bob
yes,
Proctor sauce, which I love. Like I said, I really enjoy this book. I've listened to it twice now. I might be on the third turn now. But there's, according to him, there's only 2 ways to change the paradigm. And that is one with a large emotional thing that happens. And it doesn't have to be a bad emotional thing. It can be a positive. I think a common one that a lot of people can recognize is like when a man has a child And this guy can be like a total partier, a total doesn't have his shit together, just aloof. And then hopefully, I've seen it for myself. A guy has a kid and all of a sudden he's like on his schedule, has a deep purpose. It's a big emotional shift that happened for him. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's a negative emotional shift, right? Someone dies, all of a sudden you realize life is short and you don't want to stay at this crappy job, or someone breaks up with you and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have been like working too hard, or I have been stuck in what I wanted to do without considering how that's affecting someone else. But big emotional things is one of the ways. And it's so that would be like an external impact. And then the other one is the same way it was formed. So the way that paradigms are formed are teeny tiny little repetitive habitual things that happen over time. Our childhood, basically. Hearing the same thing over and over and over again. You can unlearn that, which is its own process, and then relearn whatever the shift is that you want to make. So if you know for a fact that relationships, you're someone who is afraid of commitment, and your whole life you've heard you're always going to break your heart, love is pain, like whatever the heck it is, you have to learn that someone else programmed that into your mind. That's not necessarily even from your own experiences. That's just what's happened. Recognizing it, unlearning it, and then listening to, reading, being in environments with people and situations that aren't that, right? Loving relationships, listening to a relationship podcast, listening to books on how to have healthy communication, all the things that will help you see things, evidence that there is a different box that you can live in. And that takes time. Not a lot of people sign up for that. Just like every other habit, right? Any other habit you want to change, it takes commitment, it takes endurance, it takes determination.
Discovery.
And not exactly. And not everyone wants to sign up for that. That's a long road. So that's why oftentimes that emotional hit works better, because it's quick, it's powerful, versus the slow drag on. I have to commit to this every day. I have to stay wanting this same new reality every day. That's just why I think it's tough for people to change.
100%, man. But I think it starts with depending, right? Dependence is like when you have that breakthrough and you wake up, right? Everyone has that moment where they, damn, I just woke up. You know what I mean? Not from sleep, but like in your life. Okay, I want to be proactive. It's because it's super new now and it's exciting. So I want to be super proactive and have my own private victory. And then it begins with where you see it, like at the end, almost like how you were saying, Jackie, right? Like you saw your whole life, like you saw, you had the end in mind, right? And that's in that dependence stage. And then it's, let's put the first things first. And then you start to move into independence, but you had a shift, so to speak, and your whole life changed. So now we're back to that awakening, right? And then we're dependent again. Now with a paradigm shift, our views, our beliefs, and the way that we want to travel the journey in our life now, right? Okay, we go through that dependent stage again, right? Having our own private victories, gaining, building that confidence from what we're learning, what we're doing, and actually having victory. And then you become like that independent self, right? And then it's, okay, let's win big, right? Let's think to win, manifesting. That becomes like a public victory at that point, right? And then it's seek first to understand, building that confidence with that independence, that public victory. So like seeking first to be understood and then to be understood, synergizing, interdependence. And then it goes back to what you say a lot, Jackie, like sharpening the saw, like now taking all of that and just continuing to sharpen that life through that lens. You know what I mean? Is kind of like,
keep the habits up.
I was just gonna say, did you just go through the 7 habits of highly effective people?
That's it. That's it, man.
Guys, that was a book from my high school. That was like the theme, and they talked about
Really?
all the
Stevie
So
Covey, man.
but I never really appreciated it till after the fact, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, definitely good habits to have. But I think it's interesting the way that you were describing it, Monica, because I would say for me, my paradigm shift was definitely from an emotional situation versus intentionally thinking about it and changing it. I
Mhm.
definitely could see how that would be a lot harder to try to implement because even now, even though I've had paradigm shifts, I still catch myself like having the things that are already ingrained in me. It's like because they're just habits you don't even think of. The whole
Mm.
putting your seatbelt on or brushing your teeth. It's just little things. I think I told you guys the other day that like I was talking to someone and I was like, okay, so you're trying to do that. And he's, yeah, I'm trying. And he's like, whoa, no, I don't use that word trying in my vocabulary. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good point. Like words matter and we have to be intentional about what we're saying or what we're putting out into the universe. But yeah, it's very interesting. Would you say that you've had a paradigm shift that you can think of? Was it an emotional change or was it something that you were intentionally working on?
Me or Corey?
Either one.
I've had both.
I
I've
was
You've
gonna
had
I've
say the
had
both.
both.
same thing actually. I was gonna say that's what came to mind immediately was like both, but then I started, oh, well, which one? So I'm glad you said
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
No, I've had both. I want to always have, obviously, no, I'd love both. I'll take whatever comes. But one of the things that as I get older, want to make sure I continue to embrace is not being rigid. So being fluid
Mm.
in being able to adapt and learn new things and have an open mind. And
Are you saying
ha
you haven't been that way?
no, I have. I'm just saying I'm really embracing it a lot more. And I'm
Oh,
trying to
because
be more,
yeah, I would say that I feel like you're already like that.
yeah,
So there's
I
more than
try
that.
to be. Yeah, there's always going to be more. And I find that super exciting. I want to continue changing paradigms in my life. Every time I find something that I identify as a limiting belief, and I think that's a paradigm, a catalyst for a paradigm change
Mm.
is a limiting belief. I think about, and I don't do this every time, but I do a lot of self-talk. And so I'll be like, where did that come from? Why do I think that? And I can usually trace it back to childhood and the things I have heard over time. And then I'm like, do I feel that way? Do I really believe that? And I'll be like, no, I don't actually believe that. I can see how the other options are also equally true. And so those are kinds of things that I catch myself all the time. Just like stupid things that you get stuck in your head. I clean short-term rentals for income currently. And I have different levels of clients. And one of the things that would pop into my head often is, God, these rich people are so entitled. Like they just don't care about the fact that someone is cleaning this property and they just leave shit everywhere. And I'm like, I don't actually believe that because also the people who are staying at the really inexpensive places are complete pigs and do the same exact thing. You know what I mean? And so I'll be like, those people don't have a lot of money and yet they're still being entitled. And so those are the things that I hear myself. I have this idea, right? This box that I've put these people in. And I recognize like that's not actually true. There are crappy people and they come in every shape, size, economic bucket out there who are just living in their own little world and don't consider others and their impact. And that has nothing to do with whether or not they're rich. And if I want to be a rich person, which I do, I can't think shitty things about rich people. And that's been one of those things where I catch myself just being like, irritated. And I'm like, yeah, you can still be irritated, but you're irritated at what this specific person or this specific family did and has nothing to do with your assumption of their income. And so I catch myself, and every time I have to unlearn, reprogram, and put a different spin on it. So that would be one of those habitual things that is just an example of something that I'm actively working on.
Hmm.
I think you're super rich, Monica,
Thank
by the
you.
way. I
Thank
think
you.
everybody on this call is super rich, man.
Agreed. Living in abundance.
For sure. for sure.
What
And
about you, Corey?
somebody else,
What's yours?
oh, say that again.
I said, what would be one of yours?
Okay, yeah. As we were saying, both, right? Again, awakenings are just never over, right? So it took me a minute to understand that in the very beginning, like after I did have that big awakening, right? Which, like I said, was maybe 4 years ago for me, my spiritual path, for one, and which really opened my eyes to a lot of other things, business, even my own family, people that I was around, people that I thought were friends, people that, you know, that were not really friends, and then even myself. So like that first awakening, man, it was like a huge paradigm shift, right? And but I didn't have it all balanced. So I knew that I was going to be making other shifts within this new awakening, right? And yeah, I think a lot of it, of course, like everyone's been that person that's judged people. We had to figure out, oh shit, I can't do that, right? Like, that was a big one for me in the beginning. I think for me, a really big one for me was just being aware. I think awareness was huge for me. I just really did not have a lot of awareness authentically. I think I was living my life through others, right? Trying to please everyone else, being the yes man, and just not even caring if I'm burnt out, not even being aware that I was burnt out or dehydrated, and where's my frustration coming from, like all these things, right? And just really living through the lens unauthentically. And that's something that I'm still honing in on. But that was a big one for me. Just self-care, self-awareness, which was something that I was definitely like I needed. Like I was lost, tremendously lost at one point. Yeah, man. That's something, like I said, that I'm still ongoing with, but have made some major shifts with in the last 5 years. 5 years. It's been going strong the last couple of years. And just opening up to other people, understanding other people, actually listening. That's another one. Like actually listening to what someone's saying and taking it in and being
Mm-hmm.
able to communicate back to, and not just, letting it go in one ear and out the other. That was huge. But I know this is like minor stuff, maybe, but I don't
Oh,
know.
it's all important.
It really is. Really, I should have learned this a long time ago. Maybe someone would say, right? But yeah, it's just, like I said, self-awareness. I'm not judging myself and holding myself back, looking through that lens. Because it would, man. And then trying to disguise that as this is all going on within me. So you can imagine like the tension that's being like stuck within my body, and just not even being consciously aware of that, and
Mm-hmm.
not being able to let things flow the way that they should, whether it be the thoughts, feelings, emotions, being able to release what doesn't serve me, be intense, and just all from just like judging yourself or judging myself. Yeah, that's what was coming to mind there. So
Limiting beliefs.
limiting beliefs for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's a good thing to point out too. You can make paradigm shifts, but it's something that's always going to be continuous. I think as you start opening or uncovering the onion or opening the door, you start opening yourself to other things that you might not have even thought of before because you weren't in that space previously. And
Mm-hmm.
so figuring out how to either incorporate that or digest that into your lifestyle or into your beliefs. Yeah, I think it's interesting that we're always constantly working on ourselves.
Yeah, hopefully. Right.
Yeah.
Does anyone
Kaylee,
else
did
have
you
any?
have, I know I felt like I thought she was going to say something.
I did too.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things to say. One second. Alex is doing the dishes right now, of course. Yeah, no, I feel like there's one thing that Monica and I have talked about that I'm working on right now is I've had pain in my body the last couple of years, and I officially got scans that prove that there's not anything wrong. And so like at the same time, I'm like reading books about repressed anger and how it can lead to symptoms in your body. And all of a sudden I realized that like I've been going to a chiropractor since I was like 15 years old. And I've had pain in my body since I was like a very young person. And I think it comes from being around parents that went through a lot of stuff and they repressed anger and they had pain in their body. And then I learned that it's normal to have pain in your body. And so then as I got older and things happened, it just became supernatural to be sick or to have pain and stuff. And so that's something that I'm working on right now and it's a super slow shift of it's okay. Now my mind knows that like this pain isn't real. And now I have to like uncover what it is that caused that. But it's hard when you've been like just seen everyone around you like in pain for years. And so it's ingrained in you. That's normal. So that's what I'm doing right now.
That's
Love
interesting.
that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how different emotions and like experiences can be trapped in our body. And like people, who talks about that? No one's ever going to just tell you that's a thing or that's something to explore or uncover. Because I'm sure you guys have seen those videos of people doing either like certain stretches or like meditations where they just like,
Somatic.
I think so, where they're
Yeah.
in like a certain position and then it just like
Releases.
emotion.
They
Yeah.
release.
Yeah.
The thing with
Mhm.
somatic exercises is like you have to do them for you have to get your body used to it before it has a release typically. So I've like done somatic exercises and I've done other things and it never like I never had this release. Like you said, nobody's gonna tell you about it. I've been to 5 different specialists or practitioners and they would just give me physical therapy stuff instead of being like maybe this isn't real. Nobody's gonna tell you
Mhm.
that. Honestly, I think the reason why
They
I
won't
think
make money that way.
yeah, I also just don't think that it makes sense to them. I just think that it's
Right.
like still woo woo. Like it's been going on. There's been studies going on since the 70s for this, honestly, even before then. But it's just so weird. I don't think it's like an intentional, I don't make money on it. I at least hope not. I think they just don't even believe that could possibly be happening.
Right. Yeah, they
I
haven't
think
been taught.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I think my sister told me to read this book called The Mind Body Prescription. And
Mm.
that's the book that talks about it. And that's the guy that has been doing research on it for clinical research for since the 70s. That book is pretty boring though. So if anyone wants to read something that else, he has a book called Healing Back Pain, which is like the less clinical study version of it. But yeah, that's why it's like weird hearing that and then like not knowing who to tell because when you tell somebody like I'm working on repressed anger to help my hip, they're like, you're crazy. Like
Right.
they're like, okay, have fun.
And I think you have to give yourself grace too, because if you think about, like you said, you've been doing like some somatic here and some somatic there. But if you think about like how often and how many years you've been telling yourself, oh, this is just part of my body, I just have pain in my back, like it's gonna
Mhm,
hopefully it doesn't take the same amount of time of
mhm.
repetition, but I feel like it deserves the same dedication.
Yeah.
Although that was subconscious and not you weren't aware that you were doing it, now you have to like that's why this is so tough because you have to be aware that you want to put that same energy into the habit of
Yeah.
fixing and
Yeah, like I think similar to what we talked about too, like with emotion. So like I don't necessarily catch myself with thoughts as much. I catch myself with like emotions and with emotions I notice tension. So Corey mentioned that before. Like I'll be driving and all of a sudden I'll just like stop for a second and realize that like I'm tensing my entire body. And so all my biggest thing when I'm like walking or driving is to not tense my body. And so I think that's what's leading to pain is that like when you're constantly tense internally or externally, that like that's what leads to so many different things. So for
mm-hmm.
me, it's like catching my emotions and my tension in my body. Yeah, which is not easy. It's like I want to put like stickers around my house or something so that it's every second I'm like, wait, am I tense? Yeah.
Maybe put one in your car. Seriously. I
Yeah,
have
I feel
sticker
like in my
paper.
car
I'll
I'm getting a
print
lot
one.
better. It's
Yeah.
the pain in the car is so bad that it's like this is horrible to say, but if I'm texting and driving, that's when it gets bad because I'm not thinking and I'm creating this like tension in my body. So I've been working on not doing that and just being like as calm as possible when I drive.
Present.
It's hard as a realtor, but I'll try.
Man, Mike Chang on Instagram, awesome guy. I
Yeah.
learned so much from his content, dude. And he was the one that really, because I've heard of, when you're tense or, if you're doing breath, like there's things to try to loosen your body, right? Different exercises, mobility movements, somatic breath work, different breath work exercises, meditations. This guy just said it like so it just made so much sense with a sound bowl. I think I was mentioning this on our last call, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just made so much sense. But yeah, like you said, Kaylee, just being aware of that tension is a huge deal, man. It seems like it's, if someone's just chiming in, they might be like, "Oh, dude, that's simple. I got that right." But it's tough, man. It's tough because again, that self-care, that self-awareness, and just even giving a shit about ourselves for that moment, like to just zoom out, say fuck it all for a minute. You know what I mean? Not and
I know
just
what you
get
mean.
wasted or something. No, like just if you're driving in the car for 20 seconds, just stopping and just doing a body scan, zooming out, doing a body scan, and just seeing or thinking, how much water have I had today? When did I eat? What did I eat? What's the protein level? What's the carb level with the two intermitts? And
Did I sleep well?
Yeah, and just movement and being able to have a loose body, it like just is so much easier to be able to receive and release, to take in the things that do serve you, and to be able to like thoughts, like some of the thoughts that just aren't ours, that we just don't have control over, right? That we have that thought and we're like, what the fuck, what? But that's there. How do we get rid of that now? It's not like us just saying, hey, get out of my brain. That's got to move through you. You know what I mean? But it's easy for shit like that, and then 20 more things to get stuck because we're so tense in those midst of seconds, right? It was an eye opener for me when Mike Chang with a sound bowl interpreted that as an example, which I thought was cool, man. He has all kinds of different like body movements and stuff that's wild, but dude, I've seen
He's the guy that like slaps himself, right? Yeah, I like him.
Face, everything.
Yeah.
Like your whole body, slap it, get it woke.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man. He just makes so much sense, like with his stuff. It's like minor, simple stuff, but it's shit. I'm not doing that. Let me do that. How I feel, and just being self-observant of what others are doing that are successful, that are happy, that are just on that frequency, man, that just killing it. Right? Not to say go be a follower, but hey, learn from the best.
No, we have to have examples, because think about all the shitty examples we've had in our past that got us to the places that we don't want to be.
Yeah, true.
So
Absolutely.
we're always going to have examples. That's why we're here. That's why we have community. But that self-awareness on as many topics as possible, I think, is the springboard to making real change, right? If you're not aware that you're shitty at something, if you're not aware that you're making poor choices, if you're not aware that you have these stupid thoughts popping into your brain all the time, then you're just going to keep doing it. But I think if once you become aware and you're like, that's not something I want to keep doing, I got to figure out how to let that go and insert a new one to replace it. And I think that's the part that we don't often think to do right away, is once we identify something that we don't want to do anymore, or something that's no longer serving us, to replace it with something that is. And I think it's in one of the habit books that they tell you to do that too. If there's a habit that you dislike, you need to replace it with something else, because that time, if it's left empty, will just get refilled with the same shit you didn't want to be doing before. So if it's something like, let's say you eat ice cream every night and that's your thing, you just love eating ice cream every night, replace that with nice cream, the bananas ice cream, or a yogurt, or something that's slightly better for you. Don't stop doing it, because then you're going to miss it. Replace it with something else that is a better choice. Or Honey Mamas.
Honey Mama.
So if you guys haven't tried them, Kaylee is a Honey Mama dealer around the block.
What?
She'll get you hooked on Honey Mama.
I need a discount code.
I agree. You need to be an affiliate, like no lie. Get that money. They're like really clean ingredients, chocolates, and they're so clean that they keep them in the refrigerated section at Whole Foods.
Oh wow.
And
They're
it's
not
like,
necessarily chocolate. They're honey treats, and some of them are. So if you don't like chocolate, they've got
True.
like lavender, they've got raspberry. Like
there's a
they're
lemon one, right?
it's a honey. Like it's supposed to be a dessert. They're not cheap though. They're so
They're
expensive.
not.
They're
They're
like
so expensive.
$5 each, and
Which is
Alex
such
eats one in a
bullshit.
sitting.
Like,
Yeah.
why
Everything
is
that's
some-
good for you
Thank
is
you.
But that's what we
There's like
eat instead of
5
ice cream.
ingredients. Yeah, there's
That's
5
my
freaking
replacement.
ingredients. She's going to get one
Yeah.
right now to show you.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
somebody on this call is getting a Honey Mama right now. I bet.
Oh, she's showing you.
They came
right
out with
now.
the peanut butter cup, which is or no, they have like a chocolate cake that we had last night that was so good.
How was the chocolate cake? I haven't tried it
delicious.
yet.
Yeah, basically no food in it. So Yeah, that's what I do for ice cream because I eat it every night otherwise.
So those are the things that once that awareness kicks in, make this shift to something else. So like when I have these annoying thoughts, I'm going to keep going back to this rich people are inconsiderate concept. I replace it with, in this situation, these people were inconsiderate, but there are plenty of wonderful people. And I go back to all the times where I've walked into a house and it's been really freaking clean. They started the laundry, they started the dishwasher, and those people probably made the same amount of money as these people. Having that like instant recognition that you did it, and then being like, I am blessed to be able to do this and leave this home in a beautiful condition for the next guest. Like just replacing it with something that's more positive and is actually in alignment with who you want to be and what you want to think. But if you don't have that awareness, you're just going to keep having that same stupid thought that is keeping you in the same crappy place that you don't want to be.
Yeah, man. Rewiring is not.
Hop in,
Yeah, man, Lewis.
I was
Hop in,
just gonna say
bro.
jump in.
Hop in, bro. Let's go.
Unmute.
I don't. Sorry, I'm new. My name's Aaron. Real good friends
Aaron.
with Jackie's husband Ray. Like he's my best friend. But she's
Aw,
been trying to
BFF.
get. Yeah, she's been trying to get me in to do this, but I have a bunch of shit going on myself. But to piggyback off of that, then this is stuff that I'm realizing too. Unlearning your bad behaviors, replacing it with good ones. This is not something that's going to be done quick within days, weeks, months, even years. I mean, this is something that's you're going to be in recovery for probably the rest of your life. And your brain is going to always want to go back to a comfort level and what it knows. And there's probably going to be times when you fall off. So I think it's important to just keep reminding yourself that, and then with groups like these too, to have that reminder and that motivation is something to try to help keep you on track and to get that bad shit out and put the good shit in.
And
So,
remind you
that's
that we're all human.
exactly. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
we're
I mean,
all on this
you're gonna
wild
make
ass
mistakes.
journey.
You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna fucking relapse.
That's why the
The
people
12
that
step
you
programs.
the people that you surround yourself with are so important because of how easy it is to slip back into that old pattern. I think back to, I feel like my whole life I've gone through phases of friends. I don't have too many friends that I'm like, oh yeah, we've been friends forever. Like you have your people for the time being that's meant for you. Like there's like a season and a place and a reason, but I think being really particular of who you're surrounding yourself with, it definitely impacts that whole saying of you are the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Ray and I talk about that all the time. We're like, okay, so who's your 5? And even it's harder as you're an adult because you're like, it's hard to keep up with people. Everybody has their stuff going on. It's hard to fill 5 spots. Like
Agree.
back in the day, it was nothing. But then you're intentional about it. For me, for example, I'll be like, okay, I don't really have 5 that are like I'm talking to very consistently. But then I think about it, I'm like, who do I want? What am I looking for? So someone like Kaylee, I'm really like, I guess, jealous of her stretching routine. And so that's where my stretching came from because I was like, man, the way like I saw her do
I
this
got my
in person,
stretching
y'all.
routine from Monica. Monica sent it to me because I was having
I did.
pain.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think
like
Monica also sent me a Mike Chang video once. I just looked him up
I did.
and of him pounding himself.
see, Monica's a good person to have in your circle, man.
Yeah.
Mark was like, I feel like you're the prescription lady. You're like, you got an issue? I got something for you. Here we go. Pop. Let me send
Yeah.
you whatever. You might not like it, but you can try it and it might work. I don't know.
That's why it doesn't necessarily need to be 5 people that you spend all your time with, but I would say that Monica's still one of my top 5, even though we don't see each other as much because first of all, I only have my fiance and that's about it. But Monica and I feel like constantly will be like, I just read this book. This is a book that I highly recommend. There's 2 different audibles that I listened to recently that I got from her, and then I'll tell her the favorite ones that I have. And I think having friends that are constantly trying to grow are the type of people that you end up having in your life forever because you're expanding at the same time.
Yeah. Agree.
Nice to have that.
Love you.
Love you too.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how I am too with friends.
I'm
They're like,
doing
I have
this.
this issue,
I
and
don't
I'm like, you
care.
should read this book about how you just need to manifest everything in your life.
Exactly.
And they're like, okay, come back to me.
it's really cool to have though, because it's not like people don't share those experiences like that. Like they're just living their own life versus the way you guys are living. Kaylee did the same thing to me. She's like, hey, like I read this book and I thought you'd really like it. I want to send it to you. What a cool like relationship to have or people to have in your life that are like hey, I want to help you grow. And I think we talked about that last week too, like talking about relationships.
Mhm.
Surround yourself with the people that want to help you to better yourself, or they aren't just pissing off or have no ambitions or goals, or like you want to be around the people that are constantly growing and are trying to better their lives, because we only have this one. And that's my biggest thing, I feel like, is I just want to share with other people how they can control their life and really understand that they can create whatever it is that they desire, like those feelings or those like dreams, that you have them for a reason because you're capable of doing those things. It's such a crazy concept. But yeah,
Agreed.
super
It's,
grateful for you guys.
me too. I was hoping Dwayne would be on here so I was going to bring that full circle, because his concept of, I don't want to talk to anybody if they're not into real estate because no one else is talking about any shit. And I feel like that's a paradigm you have, right? It's just because you've had this belief that other people just aren't talking about shit that isn't growth minded. And
I think
no,
we beat that
we
for
did.
him in
We
that
did.
conversation, which I talked to him about it after, but I was like,
You did.
yeah, because it's funny, because how easy was it for him to say, yeah, if we're not talking about money, I don't want to talk. But I'm like, that's not true, because like we have conversations about the food that we're eating, or like the way we're taking care of our body. That has nothing to do with the money that we're making. It's all
Right.
connected, but it's about the growth mentality. That's what you want. Man, I feel like I'm disappearing. So.
You are. You look like you're coming out of the sky. You're looking very ethereal right now.
It's rays of sunshine.
Yep, it's
Man, that's
funny.
Lewis, dude. That was well put earlier, man. And I
Mhm.
just want to, something that came up when you were talking about that, bro, was for me like fitness. And when I fall off from a fitness routine, but I'm aware of it, I'm like, shit, dude. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, shit. What am I, or whatever, like the freak out I'm having in my head or whatever. Just being aware is what it feels like, a freak out. Doing that just by being aware of it, like kicking myself in the ass, is like keeping your foot in the door from closing that door. Like, you're keeping your foot in the doorway there. And then, so like you were saying, when you fall off of stuff, it's not necessarily like you have to kick yourself in the ass and feel that way, because that's that paradigm. So to you know what I mean, that could cause like shame and guilt and all those like horror thoughts, right? That really just will direct you in a whole different direction than where you're trying to go, like that quick, that easy. So changing that lens of, hey, I'm going to kick myself in the ass just to remind myself, and hey, it's okay that I didn't fuck up. Like I just didn't do it this week. So next week, like I'm not.
Yeah, just a minor setback.
Right.
And yeah, the key is realizing it, and okay, gotta get my shit back. I gotta get back on my shit. Yeah, and have that motivation and have the people to motivate you too. Dude, man, you've been falling off for a week. What's going on? Let's talk about it.
There
And
you go, man.
hopefully have that motivation. Yeah, accountability, motivation, and fucking get back on your shit.
Yeah,
Because I'm telling you, because I've done it before. I've done like the shit I'm going through right now. I've done before 4 years ago, and I just settled for whatever reason, and now
It's
I'm
probably a
Because it's
paradigm.
easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
Well,
was
that's what I'm
something
saying.
else.
That's why I was saying earlier. You're always going to be in recovery. Like you may think you have a grasp on it and you understand it, and then I guess you just get comfortable and you settle, and then you think, and then it just right back into the hole, and now you're fucking trying to fight your way out and claw out, and it's just it sucks.
Yeah, it's a part of growth, just a part of growth. And it's, I think, a huge thing for me is like a lot of times I'll put this big fucking thing together and just go crush it, right? And just literally burn myself out and then feel accomplished. But it's like, okay, am I going to continue to do that like that day in and day out, week after week, month after month? Like, it's really a excitement, like a shocking excitement. Oh, I'm fucking excited to go do this. That's why I'm able to crush it like that. But then it's like sustainability with stuff is just huge for me right now. A part of my balance this year, right? A part of that balance and control that I'm really going through this year is like trying to just organize things in a certain pattern that's not doable over a long period of time. So taking a step back and maybe not going, for an example, like working out 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 7-day cardio, 45 minutes to an hour, and which is great. But then, okay, that was sustainable for 6 months. You know what I mean? And then it's okay, week after that, I'm like kicking myself in the ass, like, damn, why am I just like feeling less? And it's, damn it, I can't be that way. Okay, now it's getting back up to that. instead of just jumping right back into that. Maybe it's 2 or 3 sessions, 15 to 30 minutes, 2 or 3 sessions a week, and maybe just cardio on those off days, or just however, just as an example. Just as an example, because that's huge for me, right? Obviously, you can probably tell that like my fitness game is like definitely trying to find some balance with that this year. And yeah,
That might be something you want to explore, is like that belief that it's all or nothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I'm not going hard, if I'm not killing myself, if this wasn't the hardest thing I've ever done, I didn't do shit. That might be
Sounds like David
mindset.
Goggins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that might not be for you. And removing that box you put your fitness routine in, and being
Yeah.
like, my routine could look like whatever the second option was, and recognizing that might just be as good for me as the other option. And maybe I'm not that guy. I don't know. Just recognizing like that might not work for you, and feeling like you got to fit into that is okay. Like, you don't have to fit into that.
Yeah, and I
think
relate to what you're saying too, because I'm on a whole fitness kick right now too. I've been about a month and a half, almost 2 months now, and I'm going hard. Like I do 5-6 mile runs and walk like every fucking day.
Nice.
Been doing it
bro.
for a month and a half straight. But you saying falling off and stuff, but there's been the past few days I've been noticing that I'm just like there I want to type of thing, and I have to like just remind myself, no, man, you have a goal, you have to fucking get this shit in, and you got to put in the work, and you can't just stop. And that's what I'm going back to. Your mind wants to get comfortable. It's so used to a comfort. You got to fight it and replace it. So I totally relate to what you're saying.
the sustainability part is huge because I've definitely been there too, where I'm a pretty all or nothing. I feel like it's just easier to go all in, but then you like kick yourself when you mess up and you're like, oh, guess I'm not doing anything. Versus if you just found like the middle ground of, okay, as long as I get in a 30-minute walk every day, or like something where it's like, because shit happens, you can't control everything. You woke up late on accident. You could just being able to have like that bare minimum is something that I've been trying to do, is like, okay, at least have something that I know I can get done every day, to be able to be like, okay, I still checked off that box, versus it has to look like this to the max. And then because you're just creating that unrealistic expectation for yourself. And I forgot who said it, but they talk about making deposits in your confidence bank. So every time you do something that you told yourself you're going to do, you're strengthening that, you're depositing into that bank account of, okay, I did it. But if you're setting these high expectations for yourself and you're not achieving it, then you're making those withdrawals and you're having like, okay, I'm not as good as I thought I was, or the self talk that you're talking down on yourself or whatever. I think that's another part of being aware of making sure that we're not setting the expectations for ourselves unrealistically. We're balanced, to Corey's word. I love that word.
And maybe making it something that's like, what am I going to feel really good if I accomplish today? An hour of movement, whatever that looks like. Maybe you take a 30-minute walk, maybe you do 30 minutes of weight. Great, I did an hour. Tomorrow, I might feel really good if I do 2 hours. But just like feeling like, what is it that's going to make me feel like I've accomplished something? And that something that's realistic in today's schedule. I feel really great if I drink 5 big things of water today. Like, that's going to be huge, because that means I didn't drink whatever you're trying to avoid, to yourself in a kind way.
Yeah, dude, I thought it was crazy when I really understood the water intake to your frustration, and just it hitting me for the first time. Holy shit, been on a pattern of drinking this much water, and in the moment that I don't, and I'm like pissed off out of nowhere, and I'm like, it's crazy because if you don't put the 2 and 2 together, that hey, that's why. You could start assuming all kind of shit, man. You know what I mean? And who, God knows.
Yeah, self-assessment is important.
Oh man, it's just little stuff like that. Like, it's crazy, man. That's huge for me. So awareness is like something I've been just really after for the last 3-4 years now, and just crucial the last couple years. And there's all kinds of goodies in there, man. Don't get me wrong. It's not all like just frustration and shit. I mean,
Of course.
so there's all kind of good shit in there too, man, which is really cool, really cool. So yeah, like you were saying, drinking the 5 glasses of water, just huge. I need to do better at that. Accountability.
Yeah, did anyone else want to share anything before we get
Before we-
into Monica's meditation?
It's good to see everybody, man. It's good to see
Great.
everyone.
Yes. Yeah, and I know we're at 8 o'clock right now, so if you guys have to hop off, no hard feelings, but you're in for a treat with Monica's 10-minute meditation. You guys, it blows my mind that she just does this off the dome. Like I asked her the other day, I was like, do you like do this beforehand and then have it ready? Or she's like, I just whatever comes to me. And I think that's so cool.
Thanks.
It is
I try.
super cool.
Today I did come a little more prepared. I wrote like the things I wanted to hit and the steps I wanted to walk through because we were on like a specific topic. But
That's cool. Awesome.
okay, I just shared my audio. Can everyone hear that? No.
I don't hear it.
How about now?
Now I'm hearing it.
All right. So if you guys want to turn your cameras off or stay on camera, it is up to you. We're going to take a moment and close our eyes. Get into a comfortable spot where you sit for a little bit. We're going to take 6 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. You want to make sure you're filling up your chest and your belly. Let it all out. Release anything that you may be holding on to. Any tension in your neck, shoulders, your jaw. One last deep inhale. We want to begin by focusing our attention inward. Looking for a belief or a paradigm, a frame, a lens, whatever you want to call it, that you've placed around a specific area of your life. Think of something that has been part of your life for maybe years. Something that has continued to come up for you, maybe as a rubbing spot. Something that's not completely in alignment with what you want in life, who you want to be. Persistent idea that pops into your head that doesn't feel good. Whatever comes up for you, we're just putting our awareness on it. We don't want to judge it, be harsh about the topic or our lens on the topic. Just be aware of it. Where may have this come from? Who do you remember saying these things? How did this idea serve you in some way? Even if now you recognize it as negative or unwanted, at some point your mind felt like it was protecting you, felt like it was keeping you comfortable, felt like it was keeping you in alignment with other people in your life. It served its purpose. Maybe it no longer serves that purpose. As we continue to be aware of this idea, imagine what it would be like if you let it go. What space would you have for new ideas, new perception, a new perspective? How did your life change with a shift? What would that life look like? Does the new idea align more with who you are becoming? With who you want to surround yourself with? With the life that you want to live? Breathe into that new idea, that new perspective, that new paradigm, the new lens that you're looking at a particular portion of your life, situation. Breathe life into that. Welcome it into your heart, into your mind. How does that feel? Does it feel natural? Or is it a little bit scary? There may be a sense of imposter syndrome, a sense of fear or doubt that it's for you, that you're capable of it. That's natural. As you breathe into it, feel the courage to believe that it's yours. If you were able to think it, you're able to see it, it is yours. You are capable. You need to breathe into that idea, that vision, give it life, absorb it into your mind, into your reality. I invite you to, when we get off the call, to write down some action items, some habits, some repetitive thoughts, mantras that you want to dedicate to this new idea, this new concept that you're welcoming into your life. Commit to yourself that you'll give this just as much energy, if not more, than you gave to your old, limiting, no longer serving you idea. Be intentional. Imagine yourself living with this new idea as reality, with this new perspective. As we continue to breathe, just gently allow that concept to dissipate like a wave leaving the beach, getting back absorbed into the ocean. Allow it to absorb into your mind. Allow it to integrate. Knowing that it is yours. Take a few deep breaths. We'll do 3 deep breaths. And with each one, I invite you to smile, knowing that you're capable of whatever it is that was in your mind's eye. Smile, knowing whatever it is you want to become, whatever you want to change, whatever you want to believe, you are capable, you are able. And as we come back into the room, back together, just want to say, the light in me recognizes, appreciates the light in you. Namaste. You can now wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring yourself back to the room.
That was good.
How does that feel?
Hey, thank you, Monica. Appreciate that.
Do you usually use your headphones?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Is that
this
not
time
good?
this time I felt like it was cutting out a little more.
Oh, okay. Good
But
to know.
it was still good.
I felt it. I was there. I received it, and
How bad was it cutting out?
Just like some words at the end. I'll show it to you. But
Okay.
yeah.
So that was my first guided meditation or any type of meditation ever in my life. And
Really?
that was very interesting.
Good.
Definitely let out some feelings and some leakage.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
That's
love
awesome.
leakage.
yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
I
But
love
thank you.
ocular leakage.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're
That was good.
welcome.
That's
But
really cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was trying to keep it not too long so that we could stay within our 10 minutes.
Next week will be interesting. We'll have to talk, guys, what that's going to look like. But the topic is breath work. So maybe we can do a longer meditation. And I know Corey can lead a cool breath work. I'm
For
going to have to
sure.
find a better space because I do this in Chick-fil-A usually. I don't think I can do a breath work video in Chick-fil-A.
Let's go.
Do you meditate at Chick-fil-A? Do you have your eyes closed and everything? Yes.
Yeah.
That's what's
That's
up,
so
man.
funny.
Yeah,
That's
usually
hilarious.
it's always a different Chick-fil-A, so it's not like they're thinking
They're
of.
not going to know who you are next
Yeah.
time. And I'm sure they've seen so much worse.
Yeah.
If you're in there just
That's
Yeah,
what I
next.
pictured. That'd be great. Tell them to get used to being uncomfortable. Being
That's
comfortable with
funny.
it.
But yeah, next week will be a good one. If you guys can make it, same time, same link. And
yeah, and that's a great warning for everybody. If you usually are participating and you might be somewhere public, it might be a good one to try to do from a space where you can get
Yeah.
weird with your breathing.
Awesome. But yeah,
Hey,
thank you guys. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
I was just gonna say you could always do. There's all different types of breath work, right? All so many different styles, ways, like so much, man. I'm super excited to talk about that topic. And
Which one are you going to bring to the table? You have to figure that out, I'm sure.
oh man, let's just go hard.
He has some good ones.
Just do 4 rounds of dynamic, for like 15.
I just don't want
straight-
boogers. Can we do the one that you're not shooting boogers out of your
Yeah.
nose?
No breath of fire or anything.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Or the alternating breath, and you're like, am I trying to blow my nose right now?
That's funny, man. That's super funny. Yeah, the breath of fire is a little interesting for sure. I
Mhm.
like more breath retention, but I don't know see who's like driving, who's not. But of course, I'll get with you guys and go over that and see what your thoughts are. But you can always box breathe. You can box breathe in the car.
true.
You can box breathe at Chick-fil-A. You can box breathe here on this call, and we wouldn't even know it. And basically,
That's
that's
true.
just 4
That's
seconds
true.
in through your nose with your mouth closed, 4-second hold, 4 seconds out the nose, 4-second hold. So you imagine like a box, 4 seconds
Right.
in, hold for 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, 4-second hold. So box breathing.
I'm going to
Anyway.
put the playlist in the chat if anybody wants. I know Alyssa said that she listens to it to fall asleep too. I actually had to find one that wasn't sleep related so that we didn't all go to sleep. Because I listened to that same or playlist people for the sleep one, and this one was yoga. So hopefully it didn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, it
Nice.
felt really good.
Yes,
Awesome.
indeed. I'm going to that right now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
All right. Toodles, peoples.
Yeah, good seeing you guys. Till next
Thank
week.
you, everybody. We're grateful.
Thank you.
100%. Good to see everyone. Man, thank you
See
guys.
everybody.
Jackie, Monica, man, you guys are amazing. Thank you everyone that reached out and just showed up, man. Keep showing up. This call's gonna grow. This is our third call? Fourth
I
call.
think it's our
Fourth?
fifth.
It's our fifth
Oh.
call.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. This is only gonna grow from here, man. I'm super excited.
Agreed.
to be part of it.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
I'll see you
Crush it
later.
hard this week. We'll see you next week.
Yes,
See you
have a
next
good
week.
one. Bye, Alyssa.
See you guys.
Bye.